what a game. What a game. It literally came down to the very end. Kenny Pickett could not connect on a Hail Mary with literally time expiring. The Jets walk away victorious 24-20. Absolutely insane. It wasn't pretty. Okay, it was not pretty. Both teams were extremely sloppy. Both teams had dropped passes. Both teams had multiple turnovers. The Jets turned the football over twice. The Steelers turned it over 4 times. Both teams were penalized a ton. Neither team was really all that impressive on third down either. The Jets were 6 of 15, where the Steelers were 6 of 12, so 50%. But in the end, I really felt like and this is what Jets fans have been calling for all season going back to last year. Can the Jets be competitive in the fourth quarter? If they can get to the fourth quarter, and it's a one-possession game, whether they're winning, whether they're losing, if it's tied, what have you, if the Jets could just get to the fourth quarter and the game is competitive, they have a chance. They have a chance because anything could happen. We could reference week 2 against the Cleveland Browns, the Steelers' rival. Anything could happen. And I feel like I'm almost at a loss for words, to be honest with you, because it really felt after the atrocious end of the first half sequence that we saw, where the Jets essentially had 3 points already on the board. You just can't really take a big sack there. You can't turn the football over. Just run it. Eat maybe an easy completion. You take the 3 points. You enter halftime. Then you get the ball back at the start of the third quarter. That's what I was kind of hoping for. But instead, Zach Wilson, just an awful decision, throws it into, it was double or triple coverage. It was just awful. Steelers pick it off. They go all the way down the field, and they end up getting a field goal, right? And I'm thinking to myself, we just took 3 points off the board. We killed the momentum. We gave Pittsburgh an extra 3. And now we're going into halftime, knocked back on our heels a little bit. How are the Jets going to respond? I felt like overall, the ball seemed to be bouncing in Pittsburgh's favor. They obviously start Kenny Pickett. He did look tough. I know he had the multiple turnovers, but at times I felt like he was really threading the needle in there. At one point, he got hit really, really hard. He popped back up and he was like jawing at the Jets defensive line. I felt like around that point in time when the Jets were actually down by 2 possessions, the game was starting to slip through Saleh's fingers. We've seen that a lot over the past, whether you want to talk about this season or going back to last year. We've seen the Jets get decked in the mouth and then them stumble around to eventually fall down and lose the game. But look, the Jets, they showed resiliency. They showed wherewithal in this game. They had a lot of stuff going against them. Again, the multiple turnovers. Really, I felt like they couldn't really get anything going offensively. We take a look at some of the second half drives. It was brutal, to be honest. Early in that third quarter, the drives weren't going anywhere. Listen to this 5-drive sequence, okay? In the second quarter, the Jets ran 5 plays, punted the football. Next possession, they threw the interception, the Zach Wilson pick that we were just talking about. Start of the second quarter, 3 and out, only gained 1 yard on the drive. Next possession, 4 plays interception. Next possession, 6 plays punt. So I really felt like the Jets, the game started to slip away, but this is why it's important to play to the clock hit 0. It's the NFL. We've seen crazy things happen. You're never out of the game, okay? And the Jets found a way to win. Again, it was not perfect. There are things that the Jets have got to clean up here, but I'm going to say this. To go to Pittsburgh, a talented team, I don't care what their record says. You look at the wide receivers, you look at the running backs, you look at some of the defensive studs, and granted, TJ Watt wasn't there, I get it. But overall, you look at that Steelers team in their house, coached by Mike Tomlin, it's a good football team. To go to Pittsburgh and to face off against that squad, your second-year quarterback's first game of the season, his debut performance, there was going to be some rust. You didn't really know what to expect. The Jets had a million offensive linemen out. And by the way, Max Mitchell ended up getting hurt in the game, had to be carted off the field. So, I'm going to be, checking Twitter as soon as I get off this video to try to get some sort of update here on Max. But the Jets had a lot of things working against them here. And to see this team secure the win on the road is huge. It feels amazing taking on the Miami Dolphins next week as a 2-2 team, riding the wave, riding that momentum wave into a divisional rivalry game. The Miami Dolphins have won a lot this season. They look like a sound football team. They know what they're doing. it would have been, I don't want to say a nightmare situation because, you know, it's only September here, but it would have been very bad to go play the Miami Dolphins in, I want to say I would say the biggest game of the season so far, and you're 1-3. And the Dolphins have extra time to prepare for you. Okay, so the Jets are 2-2 on the year. Quickly, I want to talk about the defense though, because I feel like in the end, this is the reason why the Jets won the game. Let's talk about the turnovers for a second. Jordan Whitehead, LaMarcus Joyner, Michael Carter all came down with picks. LaMarcus Joyner, by the way, are you kidding me? He has been struggling this season, but he had one of the best performances I have ever seen from LaMarcus. Again, multiple picks. He was making plays on the back end of the defense. I mean, really, a lot of guys stepped up. Quan Alexander at the linebacker position looked fast. He looked quick. He looked strong. We also have to credit the defensive line here. Quinnen Williams had a sack. Carl Lawson had a sack. Jermaine Johnson as well. Okay, so in the end, I think, yes, we can point to the numbers defensively and say, you know what, guys stepped up, guys made plays, guys got in the backfield, they made plays in the deep parts of the field, but also the corners as well. You know, maybe the stuff that doesn't really show up a whole lot on the stat sheet, I guess you could maybe argue like pass breakups and stuff like that, but I really felt like the Steelers wide receivers weren't getting a ton of separation. I mean, you look at guys like DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, you know, statistically speaking, they don't blow you away, but they pass the eye test is basically the point. If you watch the game, you're thinking, you know what, Sauce looked really good. DJ Reed looked really, really good. Okay, Pittsburgh has talent at the wide receiver positions. Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and George Pickens. That's arguably one of the best in football. I would take that every day of the week. Not to mention they're all young, they're all ascending. I love all three of those players, but it really seemed like they just didn't really have a ton of success today. You know, admittedly, it wasn't a complete lockdown show or anything like that. At times they came down with great catches, and I do want to give credit where it's due. George Pickens looks just like DK Metcalf out there, boxing guys out, crazy athletic grabs, big, intimidating. I really like this Pittsburgh Steelers team. I really do. But it feels so good to get a win. 24-20. Before I end the video, though, I do want to quickly touch on Zach Wilson and his performance. In my opinion, overall, it wasn't that good. But you know what? This is football. I think if you're looking at Zach Wilson from a fantasy perspective, a fantasy football perspective, it's, I mean, 2 thumbs down. With the multiple turnovers, you're taking points off the board, a ton of incompletions. I mean, in the end, there was one play where he kind of rolled out and the ball literally just bounced right off Minkah Fitzpatrick. I thought that was it. The second that ball left Zach Wilson's hands, I'm like, what did we just do? We just gave Pittsburgh the game. Luckily, Fitzpatrick dropped it, okay? But when we take a look at Zach in the critical moments, you know, I'm talking about that 4th down on the last drive of the game, to be on the top of your game when the team needs you most, he did that. He did that. Okay, we needed throws on that last drive. He made them. He converted the 4th down. He hit Conklin a couple times. And ultimately, in the end, that is why the Jets won the game. That is why. We needed the throws. We needed the drive. The Jets offense delivered. Okay, again, it wasn't pretty. There's things that need to be cleaned up, things that need to be worked on. Big game next week against Miami. But it feels good to be 2-2. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.